Hi, it's Trixie Mattel taking you on a guided tour through the history of Barbie. Hi, it's Trixie Mattel. Welcome back to the channel. I am me, and I'm not an expert on a lot. I have a small brain, I have gap teeth, I'm probably from an inbred family, but I will tell you, I know a thing or two about popular 11.5-inch fashion dolls, specifically Barbie. I love Barbie. I love all types of dolls. I mean, I love Chrissy, I love Dusty, I love Polly Pocket. I mean, there's so many toys I love, but with Barbie, I do have a little bit of a hyperfixation, let's say. I thought with the Barbie movie coming out and everything, so many people know so little about the history of this toy. And the Barbie we know today that shaped the world and changed us forever has gone through a lot of iterations. There's a lot, I would say every decade or so, Barbie gets like a new body, a new facelift. It's like a new person. Before we do all that, please subscribe to the channel. I'm here every week. And, you know, depending on legislation in the United States, YouTube might be the only place you get to see a cross-dresser. So please subscribe. Hi, it's me, I look incredible, but today's video is brought to you by our friends at Green Chef. If you guys don't know, I'm obsessed with Green Chef. Green Chef is a CCOF certified organic company. I just cooked a Green Chef meal today. I made blackened cauliflower with pearl couscous, sauteed green beans with almond shavings. I couldn't believe I made it. It was so good. If I were to make that from scratch, I would have to buy things that I probably would not use for a million other recipes. I had to use an apricot jam to finish it. It's a great solution for getting adventurous with your cooking without having to commit to like a whole pantry full of items you might not use again. One of my favorite things about Green Chef is it comes in this box that offsets the plastic and the carbon footprint, but it stays super cool. Yesterday, my Green Chef stuff sat outside for half the day, and then Brandon brought it into the kitchen and didn't put it in the fridge. But the great thing is when I got home, it was all still cool. There's options for keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, fast and fit, and Mediterranean. And there's a new one. The new one's a high protein option called Protein Packed. If you're trying to bulk up. It's obvious I'm not currently on the high protein pack. And I'll say this, if you're vegetarian, I'm talking to you. A lot of times vegetarian meals lack texture, they lack variety. The Green Chef meals, I'm not kidding, are the best vegetarian foods I've ever had in my life. If you wanna get into Green Chef, use the code TRIXIE60 for 60% off your Green Chef order plus free shipping. You guys, I got into Green Chef because they wanted to sponsor my videos, but I will never look back. They changed my life and they're gonna change yours. Now, back to that video. When we're talking about toys, specifically dolls, we're basically talking about tiny historical snapshots of cultural significance. When we're looking at a toy that's supposed to be something that a child can aspire to and relate to, we're talking about what adult women are actually doing in the world at that time. What jobs do they have? What are they wearing? What kind of hair do they have? What kind of makeup do they have on? The height of the heel, the accessories. It tells you everything about what women at that time were up to. And that's why it's so interesting. When you deep dive into dolls, you deep dive into child development, you deep dive into fashion, you deep dive into historical events. And especially since these are fashion dolls, you can't talk fashion dolls without talking about celebrities, popular TV shows, musical artists, so many things. I mean, this toy basically held a tiny mirror up to culture for like 7 decades. I have a nice deep dive through the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s on this channel. If you want a really deep dive, check those out. But today I tried to go from 1959 to today, which dolls were really like the moments where the tadpole became a frog, the frog became Godzilla. I don't know if that happened, but we're just gonna go through it. I wish I had nails on, but if you're new here, I broke off my thumbnail. It's a long story. So let's get started. So I thought we would start with 1959, number 1 Barbie. This is my number 1 Barbie. Yes, it's real. If you wanna see me unboxing my number 1 Barbie, it's right here. I have a real, beautiful, authentic number 1 Barbie. It's stunning. I almost cried. I don't wanna take it out of the box, so I have a really beautiful, updated reproduction to show you. The 75th anniversary of Barbie was just a couple years ago, and they celebrated it by doing a Silkstone reproduction of the number 1 Barbie. So let's look at her while we talk. God, she's so beautiful. Look at this. Silkstone, if you guys could touch this, the body feels like a blend between plastic and like ceramic. She feels almost like she's made from glass. So these are heavier. They're meant to be kept in the box. They're not meant to be played with. These are made for the adult collectors. So we talked about this a lot in the video with the number 1 Barbie, but straight out the gate, this was a toy that people said was pornographic. It was obscene. It's almost like they might try to make legislation about it. It was tasteless that a child would have a doll with boobs. I mean, this was a different world, you guys. Different world. And out comes Barbie in a swimsuit with no husband. She has a career as a fashion model. She has her own house. This was a giant leap for women. It was a giant mega leap for women. And they talk about it a lot in MG Lord's books, but I think every parent in the 50s, their number 2 fear was that their child would be sexualized or like promiscuous or honestly too modern. Their daughter would be too modern of a woman. But their number 1 fear was that their daughter would be not groomed. This is at a time where women didn't have jobs. So being well groomed, being beautiful was a meal ticket. I'm not saying I co-sign it, but at the time, women acquiring a husband meant they have security, they have a home, they have food. And so even though parents were uncomfortable with this, they were like, well, if it's gonna encourage my daughter to get interested in hairstyling and fashion and beauty, it's not a bad thing. It's just interesting that this doll, I mean, this is the most like, is this even a swimsuit? I mean, this is a whole outfit. This is a romper by today's standards. It's interesting to think back that this was straight like scandalous at the time. Anyway, she's gorgeous and she started this incredible legacy of this toy. You gotta watch Mattel because they always, when anniversaries of toys happen, they do really beautiful reproductions. I mean, what a gorgeous, gorgeous doll this is. So let's move on past 1959. Just a few years later, you know, we've had Barbie with a ponytail for years. Barbie with a ponytail, Barbie with a ponytail, Barbie with a ponytail. Barbie was originally marketed as you buy the doll for $250 and then the outfits cost $2, $3, $4, $5. The marketing scheme was if we get the kid the doll, we can constantly come out with clothes that they'll want. It's like The Sims. There's like 40 Sims packs right now. I have all of them, like a crazy person. Nobody should ever give me money because sometimes I buy really weird shit. This is just a nice little example of a bubble cut Barbie. So this is like early 60s. Barbie's been out a few years. From 1959 to early 60s, we get Barbie with a cropped haircut. It's starting to give you that like Charlize Theron and That Thing You Do 60s bubble cut. Whenever women shorten their hair, there's cultural significance. Think of Rizzo in Grease. She's like the bad girl because she has short hair. She's in Suburban Shopper. This is an authentic Suburban Shopper. This is a very historically significant outfit. I mean, this is Barbie going out for a shopping trip. She looks gorgeous. And we can't ruminate too long on some of this stuff, but you guys, I mean, this is the early 60s. Look at the quality of these clothing. Look at the zipper. Look at the real working zipper. Dolls today now, you're lucky if you get Velcro. I mean, it's amazing, miniature clothing. Mine, you can tell on mine, her eyes could be touched up. I could probably buy some black paint and touch up her lid. I'm scared to try to fix like authentic vintage because I'm afraid of ruining it. You know, on like Antiques Roadshow when they like clean something with lemon pledge and it like is worthless? That's what I'm afraid of happening. But this is Bubble Cut Barbie and she's moving us into the 60s, which is my personal favorite. I mostly collect 65 to about 75 Barbie, about that 10 years because I love mod Barbie. So I think we should focus on some of the facial differences, right? I mean, the Bubble Cut Barbie still looks a lot like ponytail Barbie, but then we start to get a new face. The 60s is developing. Carnaby Street happens. Twiggy, like 60s mod Brady Bunch fashion happens. And that's when we get a new face. So this is Twist and Turn Barbie. Twist and Turn Barbie, as collectors call it, TNT. Doesn't that sound bring back like core memories? Twist and Turn Barbie has a physical feature that the other dolls did not have. You can see she can twist on the angle. This was the time of like Hullabaloo, American Bandstand. Teenagers were excited about dancing and movement and they were excited about clothing you could move in. So this Barbie, her waist is cut on an axis. Do you see how it's diagonal? So instead of doing side to side, which is not very funky, she kind of swings up and out, which is a lot more fun in 60s and retro and like, you gotta really think Austin Powers movement. I mean, can't you just see her getting her zhuzh at the club? We also get real lashes. Like you can see this Barbie has real rooted eyelashes. Rooted eyelash, like 60s mod Barbie is my absolute favorite. She is my favorite. I love the style of the twist and turn with the top pony, but you know, you can get a twist and turn with like a flip. They call it the Marlo flip because of Marlo Thomas from It Girl. Her hair goes down and goes, it looks a lot like, well, this hair. And again, you can see most Barbies at the time, they were always sold in like a little swimsuit because again, the marketing was buy the doll and then later we get your parents to buy you the clothes. Mattel was also one of the first companies to commission and push forward advertising materials during like cartoon blocks. Nowadays, if you watch Saturday morning cartoons, you will see toy ads, toy ads, toy ads. Mattel was like the first company to be like, we should make commercials and we should put them on during children's programming because the child will turn and go, Mom, I want this. You have to get the child to tell the parent to buy it. That's the way to get to make money in toy world. Anyway, I love Twist and Turn Barbie. She's just gorgeous. I have at least, I don't know, a dozen of them. They're so pretty. And 60s Barbie, especially like mod Twist and Turn Barbie, she has the best clothes. 60s Barbie is the absolute best for me. So after Twist and Turn Barbie, because you know, she's got the snapping legs, she's got the moving waist, that's when we get Living Barbie. Living Barbie came in a few different variations. There was Living Barbie, Dramatic Living Barbie, which kind of turned into live action Barbie, but Living Barbie, by the way, I think this is her outfit she comes with. I've always thought this was a really bizarre outfit. It's supposed to be a swimsuit. It's half silver, half gold. And then it has what can only be described as a construction worker smock. This is what she came in. But you can tell she has the rooted eyelashes. Face shape wise, she's a little less pointed than Twist and Turn Barbie. She's a little more chubby cheeks, round face. She has more of a sweetness to it. I mean, you can see the beginning of what will become the other Barbie face. You can see her features rounding and softening. She looks sweeter. The dramatic arched eyebrow of 59 is gone. The side glance is still there, but it's not a cunty side glance. Now she looks kind of interested, like she's looking out in the world. She has a different body type. I'm gonna pull her up. She not only could move side to side, she can actually bend. And this doll is interesting because, okay, this is actually crazy. Maureen McCormick, who plays Marsha Brady, she was in a commercial as a child for Dramatic Living Barbie. I think we have a clip of that here. You can see Maureen McCormick with a Dramatic Living Barbie. This ad was so significant because it had Barbie like this and she had her hand out. And Barbie had never had a broken wrist like this. And now your Barbie, she can move her hands. Now your Barbie can have her hands up, she can have her hands out, she can do this, and she can swivel. So it's hard to not draw the parallel that as women got more freedom in the world, Barbie's body got more freedom. It's impossible to not notice that. Because you gotta imagine this is going on to, you know, this is coming up to 10 years of Barbie being on the market. This is a toy that was never supposed to succeed. Within the first year, Mattel became the #3 toy company in the world in the first year, which is pretty amazing. Anyway, I love Dramatic Living Barbie. She doesn't have quite the high heels. Living Barbie has a little flatter feet. Then again, it's the 60s. It's a little more about like pilgrim shoes and go-go boots. It's not stilettos on stilettos. Anyway, Living Barbie, such a cool step in the motion of mobility. We couldn't have like the made to move Barbies. Today, Barbies that are made to move, they have elbows, joints, wrists, knees, and this was a big step in that level of like mobility. Malibu Barbie's next. I have a beautiful Malibu Barbie. Mine is on display at the Trixie Motel. So if you ever go to the Trixie Motel, my real collection of vintage toys is in there. And some of those are really expensive. So don't look at them too close. Don't touch them. Don't breathe on them. Thank you. But I actually have one in the box. This is 1971 Malibu Barbie. This is one in the box. Weirdly, this one's got like, she's got like dust on her face. I can't explain it, but this is her in the packaging. This was really significant. This was 1971, so you have to imagine the 60s have happened, the Beatles have happened. Now we're moving into the beginning of what will be like the early 70s Beach Bunny California craze. This is when we first get women wearing way less makeup, wearing their hair long and straight. Because these women, they were like, my mom has a bubble cut. My mom has curly big hair. I want straight long hair. So this is like the beginning of women being like, I'm not like my mom, I'm my own person. This is also very culturally significant because this is the first Barbie that isn't looking to the side, right? Women are always supposed to be submissive. Women are barely encouraged to have careers at this point. We have Carol Spencer at Barbie at this point. This is her book, Dressing Barbie. It's a great book, very interesting. But we had women designing for Barbie. And then we had the world being like, we're not ready for that. I don't know, that's a little too racy, that's a little too weird. This was the first time they made Barbie look straight ahead. So Barbie's not being passive, she's not being submissive, she's looking right at the camera and she's like, I'm here, I'm a woman, I have freedom, look at me. And that's what makes this doll really cool. It's also cool because Marsha Brady happened. Marsha Brady made an entire era of women want to be Marsha Brady. Everybody either wanted to be her or date her. I want to be her. I love Maureen McCormick. Maureen McCormick, if you go watch Old Brady Bunch, it's insane how beautiful she is. And then when you watch the Brady Bunch movies, Christine Taylor as Maureen McCormick, as Marsha Brady, Christine Taylor is so unreal. Every time she comes on the screen, you're like, it's beautiful. Anyway, very simple blue swimsuit. You can see I kind of channeled her in a swimsuit look that I did for the cover of Malibu, I think. I don't remember. Super tan, right? This is introducing super tan. The beauty standard was you better be tan, bitch. Your hair better be flat iron, bitch, and you better be tan. And you can see her makeup is just lashes. It's a soft little brow. It's not a lot of blush. It's not a lot of lip. It's basically Marsha Brady. I mean, they basically changed this doll to be Maureen McCormick, which is crazy because, as we talked about, Maureen McCormick was in a Barbie commercial as a child. So it's interesting with fashion and shit, how stuff just starts to eat its own tail. Everything comes back around. But I love Malibu Barbie. This is one of my favorites, my all-time favorites. It's so simple. She's so beautiful. And this was, at the time, the biggest selling Barbie they'd ever done. That's why if you're looking for a nice old vintage collectible Barbie, you can get a Malibu Barbie in great condition for under $100, just because they made so many. So that's 1971. There's more 70s dolls. We could get into it. If you watch my 70s video, we are skipping ahead a few years, but we're skipping for good reason, because 71 to 77, 6 years go by, and that's when we get Superstar Barbie. Superstar Barbie was a huge reset. You can see her face is completely different than the other ones. The plastic in her head, for some reason, over the years has shrunk. You can see she kind of has a tiny head for her body. Superstar Barbie, this is disco, right? So Studio 54 has happened. Disco has happened. Everything is about glamour, sequins, boas. I mean, it's about dressing up and going out. So this is when we get a Barbie who is sold in a gown. She has a boa. She has blue eyeshadow on. She is back in glamour. Here we have 70s, like early 70s Barbie, where it's about beachy and like suntan and like natural. Only 6 years later, the birth of disco occurs and Barbie is getting in drag. I mean, Superstar is a lot of people's favorite Barbie. I mean, this doll, you can see that this doll's face is a lot closer to the Barbie I grew up with than, let's say, like 50s Barbie. This one starts to actually look like 90s Barbie. She was sold next to Superstar Ken. He was in a disco suit with sunglasses. I mean, it was disco time at Mattel, for sure. She came with a star-shaped stand. I mean, this is really a beautiful doll. And this is the first Barbie where she's serving bent arms. So this is where we start to get like the stereotype of Barbie having arms like this. Beautiful. So right between the late 70s and the early 80s, there is one moment we can't skip over. I mean, the world has changed for the better so much. And one of those big steps forward was the first Black Barbie. Black Barbie. She's black, she's beautiful, she's dynamite. I mean, until 1980, there had not been like a black Barbie. She's fucking gorgeous. She came with a hair comb, she came with a pick, she came with a necklace, jewelry, she has a twisting waist. She's in like this gown that's sort of like a bodysuit. We've had Black Francie, but we've never had Barbie be black. We've had Friends be black, but we've not had like Black Barbie. And it was a very significant moment. I have her and I love her so much. She looks like she sold originally for $9 in the 80s. She's certainly worth more now. She's such a beautiful toy. So we're moving ahead. This is the next big cultural shift, right? Women in the 80s begin to enter corporate life. Women not only have had jobs as nurses or flight attendants, I mean, that got us through the 60s, but women are now being viewed as productive members of corporate life. So this is when we get Day to Night Barbie. This is an authentic Day to Night 1985 Barbie. I have like a few of them. And this is when we get Barbie in a suit. We get Barbie with a suitcase. She has a calculator. She's a working woman. And the best part about Day to Night Barbie is this outfit converts into a gown. So this is when we get the acknowledgement that women are this, but they're also this. You can be glamorous and fun, and you can also be a working mama. You know what I mean? So this is a big deal because this is just kind of mainstream acceptance of women in the workplace in corporate world. This is the OG, girl boss. She really is. Next up, this one's really cool. This is Barbie and the Rockers. She was in a rock band. There's a bunch of other dolls that were sold alongside her. Now, this is significant because I don't want to get in trouble and I don't want to tell stories out of school, but basically Gem came along. Gem was being created and Gem was going to be huge. This is in Barbie documentaries. Everyone knows about this. Barbie heard that a doll was coming out that was a rock star. And Barbie was like, all right, how fast can we get this doll out? A doll, I think at that time took about 16 months to complete. They got Barbie and the Rockers from an idea to the toy shelves in 9 months. They beat Gem to the toy shelves. So when Gem came out, everyone thought Gem copied Barbie. When in fact, Barbie basically did, I'm just gonna say it, like corporate espionage, and they beat this other company to their own product. For Barbie, it's a story of like, wasn't that fierce what we did? But when you think about like business ethics, I am a little bit like, well, you did just like, I mean, I'm not gonna be Dame Trixie Mattel and sit here and say that anybody steals from anybody, but it's an intense story of like, toys are all fun and games, but behind the scenes, you guys, corporations making toys, it is not a joke. This is like a very intense, cutthroat world when it comes to patents, when it comes to recognizing what's going on in fashion and culture and beating it to the shelves. I mean, these doll designers would have to fly to Italy, watch the fashion shows, and then create looks so that a year later, when Italian fashion hit America, the dolls on the shelves looked like that fashion. It was a very intense process. Up next, I mean, we gotta go into the 90s, and I would say we can't really do 90s Barbie without talking about Totally Hair Barbie. This was a very big deal. This is Totally Hair Barbie. This is one of the best-selling Barbies of all time. It might even be still the biggest seller of all time. She was a really big deal because Mattel always knew that a lot of what Barbie meant to children was hair play, right? When you got Fashion Queen Barbie, she had wigs and no hair. And I think the audience for that was a little bit like, but I like brushing the hair. I like doing the doll's hair. Totally Hair Barbie was like, well, what if we did a little Poochie dress, basically, and we made her hair so long? So we're taking the aspect of toy play that children love, and what if we make it that much more like, there's so much hair. The commercial, if you roll the tapes, the commercial was a lot of like the doll turning around and the hair like, oh. And as a child, you're like, oh my God, I gotta touch that hair. I gotta have that hair. And Totally Hair Barbie, I mean, she holds up. Look how gorgeous she is. This is original from the 90s and she's beautiful, dude. The 90s gave birth to the first like collector's market. So these are people who had Barbies as kids, who became adults and started collecting. So Barbie Signature, Silkstones, any of those like collector dolls, that's where they came along. That's where we get Bob Mackie Barbie. That's where we get like fashion designers designing for Barbie. So in my humble opinion, we're skipping a lot of the late 90s and we're skipping a lot of the 2000s because for a while there, I love Barbie. For a while there, Barbie was getting really normal. Barbie was in jeans, she was in t-shirts. Barbie wasn't like, whew. Barbie for a while was like at her height of relatability, which is cool because Barbie was more focused on her careers. You know, it was more about what Barbie does because 80s and 90s was the birth of the slogan, you can do anything. You know, girls can do anything. And so it was more about what she does and less about what she looked like. That's culturally significant, but I would say visually, there's not a lot of dolls in that era that are like changing the game. But it's great because now in the 2020s, etc., we have Barbie having fun again. I mean, this is one of the newer Barbies. This is Extra Barbie, one of the Barbie extras. You can see she's very closely related to Totally Hair Barbie. But Barbie's like being really fun again. I mean, this is a great time to be a collector, somebody who pays attention to Barbie because Barbie's getting really wacky. Barbie's getting really fun and funky and wacky again, and I love that. So I hope this gave you a nice little crash course in Barbie history. Nobody's a bigger fan than me. I just think what this doll did for the world, it changed everyone's lives. It changed my life. So if there's a Barbie I didn't talk about and you think we should have talked about it, comment below. It's very open to interpretation. I have some personal favorites that I love, but didn't quite have a big cultural mark. So the great thing about collecting toys is everybody's collection is different because everybody responds to something different. But I think this is a pretty good overview of some of the big design shifts with Barbie. Anyway, if you like more doll videos, we have tons on this channel and I'll talk to you very soon. Goodbye.